All new year, all new movies, and this time we have four for you. Starting off, we have two movies that really surprised me with how watchable they were. We Bury the Dead and The Plague. Harmless shells of who they once were. Now, going into this film, it really wasn't what I expected. I was hoping for some more action scenes. I was hoping for some more blood and gore, but the movie still worked anyway. I was a little bit on the fence about Daisy Ridley. I know she's been in a lot of movies. I only really know her from Star Wars, which are pretty much cut and paste characters, recreation of old characters, so her range wasn't fantastic in that. But she showed that she had acting chops in this. She showed that she was scared, she was vulnerable, she was worried about her husband, but she was on a mission and she wasn't going to let anything deter her. Now, Brenton Thwaites, I knew him from Titans. I actually really enjoy that television show. I knew him from the Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, or Dead Men's Chest, or another Dead Man thing. I don't know. It wasn't the really, really good Pirates of the Caribbean. I knew that he could act. I knew that he was an action star, but again, this wasn't an action movie. This was more of a story-rich drama that just reeled you in and kept you engaged the entire time. Now, if you're looking for a typical zombie movie with the blood and the guts and the gore and the action and a whole bunch of zombies just gather around your favorite character and they have to fight their way out or they become zombie chow, you're not going to get it with this film. We Bury the Dead is a slow burn. If you know anything about Zach Hilditch with 1922, These Final Hours, he brings the same atmosphere and the same type of movie to this film. I really don't think you should see it in the theater. I think it's something that you'll appreciate more if you're home and you get to focus on the characters, their lines, the storyline itself, the mannerisms, the scenery, and everything. This film needs to elicit an emotion from you. It needs to get the feeling of lack of closure, the feeling of things left unsaid and left undone, the regrets that you can't possibly ever take back and you're just stuck with them. It needs this feeling from you to work. And it gives you a little bit of hope that maybe, just maybe, in some future, some way, you can go back and you can finish the thing that's always on your mind that you never got to do.
First day in camp. Pretty good.
No, yeah, good.
Up next, we have The Plague. And if you're looking for a movie that's a cross between Lord of the Flies and Mean Girls, this just might be for you.
You know, this whole thing could be a little daunting.
In The Plague, we follow Ben, the new kid at water polo camp, and his attempt to befriend a group of boys. As the film progresses, we see the all-too-real example that sometimes, in the pursuit of popularity and acceptance, people suffer. Ben starts to become torn between the cool kids who he desperately wants to be like and the outcast who simply wants to be himself, even though he's ridiculed and ostracized. Now, even though this year just started out, and even though this month has some pretty impactful films with important messages to bring across, I think The Plague is one of those. I think every parent, especially to a young teen, an older child, preteens, should watch this and remember what it was like to be a kid themselves. It brings it to the forefront. Now, the only big name actor in this was Joel Edgerton. It was the directorial debut of Charlie Pollinger. There was a boy in this named K.O. Martin who plays Jake, which is kind of the antagonist, but in a way, all of the kids except one were the antagonist. He just did a phenomenal job. It brought across a message of a young boy who's not understood. He feels ignored at home. He's going through a change. He's not listened to by the authority. In this case, Joel Edgerton is the coach. He's just trying to get people to shake it off and shrug it off and not pay attention when it's so meaningful and life-changing to the boy. You have another boy named Eli who just wants to be himself, and he's cast out because of it, and it doesn't make him happy, and he has extreme problems of his own and nobody really cares, they still pick on him. They still treat him like trash because it makes these group of boys feel better about themselves. It's a message that you really have to remind yourself in this day and age, and you have to remind yourself what it was like to be a child so you can relate more on a personal level to them. Now, again, this isn't a movie that I would rush out and see in a theater. I think it's one where you really have to pay attention to it. You have to let it elicit an emotion. You have to think back to your days. And if you were a kid that was getting bullied, you're going to remember it. If you were a kid that tried to be like the new kid and you did some things that were questionable, that you feel awful about, that you regret doing, you're going to sympathize with this movie. If you're one of the popular cool kids that treated the kid like trash, but your personal life was a mess and a shambles too, and nobody really got that, so you were acting out, you're going to relate to that too. This is a very important film, and I think you will really enjoy watching. The next movie, Primate, kicks off the horror movie submissions of 2026, and it reminds us of the advice that Tim the Tool Man Taylor gave his son Randy in Home Improvement. Never look a monkey in the eye. Now, the good thing about this movie is the gore was there. The creepy moments were there. The anticipation was there. A lot of times it was nail biting. You knew what was going to happen. You've kind of got that feeling of, hey, maybe I shouldn't trust my dog as much as I do. Maybe I should look at my neighbor sideways, and maybe my best friend might have gotten bitten by a mongoose. It always gives you that feeling, but unfortunately, it didn't really hold me. I mean, there were no really big name actors. I know that Johnny Sequoia was in Dexter New Blood. I never watched it, even though I like the original Dexter. For some reason, I just didn't watch one of the 87 sequels now. I know that Johannes Roberts did 47 Meters Down, did Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. They were okay. 47 Meters Down I liked, and he still brought that same feeling to this movie. If you just want to go in and you want to watch a splatterfest, and you want to kind of get that creepy feeling where the thing is creeping up behind you and you can see it, but the star can't see it, or the star is just really, really worried because he's hiding in a closet and the big baddie comes to get him, then you're going to enjoy it. It's entertainment. You go to a theater, it's going to be really good. It might be a horror movie for you to watch around Halloween where you just want to see some blood and guts and stuff like that. But I think the overall storyline, there's not really much you can do with it. Something ends up happening and something ends up going bad, and then everybody tries to escape. That's really all there is to it. If you're looking for a good storyline, save your money. If you just want a good night out and you want to have a date, or you want to go with your buddies and you want to eat popcorn and kind of have a few jumps, then this is the movie for you.
Go, go, go! Listen to me, son. It doesn't matter what happens, because we're always going to be together.
And last on my list of how I spent the weekend in a dark theater telling people to hush is Greenland 2.
Everybody says that this is the new normal.
Greenland 2 picks up 5 years after the Clark interstellar comet destroyed most of the Earth. The planet remains in periodic violent chaos as sudden electromagnetic storms can unpredictably form, along with lingering radioactive fallout. The Garrity family has survived since the initial chaos, with Allison now a leader, John a scout and engineer maintaining the bunker, and their 15-year-old son Nathan, who's a student that wants to become a scout. Rising earthquakes collapse the bunker, forcing an emergency evacuation, and we find the Garrity family making its way to the Clark impact crater in search of safety and shelter. Now, even though I don't have a lot to say about this movie, it doesn't mean the movie was bad. If you're a fan of disaster films and apocalypse films like I am, you really enjoyed the original Greenland, you like movies like 2012, Deep Impact, Armageddon, The Day After, you're going to enjoy this film. I do suggest, however, that you go to the theater to see it, because in this case, bigger is better. You want the booming sound. You want the huge screen so you can appreciate the CGI. You can appreciate the sequences. You can appreciate the action scenes, the acting. Solid. Gerard Butler always hits it home. Morena Baccarin, I think that's her name is. She always gives a very solid performance. The directing, the cinematography, it's everything good. It's a big budget film. It's a disaster flick. You know what you're going into. You know what to expect. I don't see a lot of awards coming out to this, but it's definitely worth the watch. And that is my review of the first 4 movies I got to see of 2026. There were a couple more I wanted to watch. Unfortunately, they weren't playing in my area, so I'm just going to have to wait for them to stream, but I'll put out a review or two if I can. Key takeaways here: if you want to go to a theater and watch a good big budget movie that you're not going to regret, go and see Greenland 2. If you're looking for a very good thinker, and in my opinion, the best of all 4 that I just reviewed, something that has a message, something that's impactful and important, watch The Plague. You're not going to go wrong, especially if you're a parent and you're trying to get into the psyche of the little devil that lives in your house. Either which way, if you like content like this, do me a favor, drop me a comment, a like, a share, a subscribe. If you have an idea for a movie you'd like to see me review, you can drop it in the comments, or you can head over to my Discord, send me a little DM, and I'll put it in the queue for you. And until we see you next time, I hope you have a great day.